welcome and good evening to one and all. All right.
Thank you.
So we're just continuing the last 2 weeks' discussion around mentoring and counselling, and of course we've got our esteemed friend Anthony that's joined us again. So welcome to Anthony. So I guess I thought it would be an opportunity for us to kind of revisit that again, and for us to kind of bring some new insight and some new personal opinions around the subject matter. So I just want to kick this off actually with, and this is my question to you, Anthony. I'm just putting you on the spot, right? Because this is our second pod on this now, and myself, Win, and Nick have kind of given our own individual perceptual interpretation of what mentoring and role model means to us, really. So I'm not sure if you have, but if you've had managed to kind of see the last two pods, I just wanted to get your individual thoughts and opinions on the subject, whether or not you think mentoring or having a role model is a really good thing or a positive thing, and whether or not there is, for want of a better word, is it a dying art these days? Is there a shortage of good mentors and good role models for people? And I'm not going to say young people, I'm just saying people per se.
I think mentorship is happening in a different way right now. You know, the traditional maybe one-to-one is I wouldn't say it's outdated, but we're having now more communities popping up, especially if you look on social media. You'll have community groups, maybe on certain subjects. You'll have things like Discord, which is another platform which people can actually discuss maybe about subjects or a program or whatever, and they can get together, and you actually have people in there that maybe have way more experience than you have in a particular subject, program, or whatever. And in a way, you're getting mentored by them, because you might see somebody in a group who's been working in a field for such a long time, and you can see their success. And then you'll ask a question: how did you get there? And they'll say, well, I got there because I used this, I used that, I used this, I used that. And then you have a group of people, community, that are sitting there saying, do you know what, I had similar experiences. And you are getting sort of benefits from that, because you're getting mentored for maybe various different people. And the good thing about that is, it's like having a team where everybody's got different strengths. And the good thing about that is that there might be a subject that somebody's very, very good at and discussing, but they lack the skills in others, where you've got other people in that same community that actually have that skill, and you're getting it as a community. So you have that, you have Facebook groups, you do that.
Anthony, going to ask you, did you call Discord, did you say? Discord, is it called Discord?
Yeah.
And is that an online platform?
So if there are lots of different programs now that if you've just acquired or whatever, they have a Discord group. So it's like a community where you can actually learn a little bit more about that, and people have their experiences, and they can discuss how they dealt with this, or maybe if you're learning something, maybe the quick ways of doing such a maybe a different avenue, a different path to take. Yeah. So this is why I was saying this to some guys who are sort of in that field, is that you can get mentorship in different ways. Even reading a book is being a mentor. Picking up a book, you get inspired. I love the way that Nick always comes up with some really just like quotes from the air. You know, it's like bang, 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 bang. But he doesn't get it.
It's annoying, isn't it? Yeah.
It's his knowledge. He's read something, it's inspired him, and it might trickle something with us. I'm not saying that Nick is a clever clogs, because I'm still trying to work that out if he is or not.
Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you, Anthony.
So, what we said, I mean, you started on me when you first came in, and I'm playing tennis back.
I'm offended.
Any follow-ups, Nick? Win?
Yeah.
Go for it.
No, I think again, Anthony's got is spot on. There's so many groups out there at the present moment that can provide you with that necessary growth that you need through mentoring kind of groups that are online. There is a lot of stuff on YouTube as well. There's plenty of books out there at the present moment with regards to mentoring. If you want to kind of develop yourself, yeah, I can only agree with that. To be honest with you, it's not it's something that that people need to kind of like channel their energy into if they want to kind of grow as a knowledgeful individual. So if you want to improve your your work situation, or you want to improve your life, then there's stats that will back up that having a mentor will certainly improve that. So yeah, I've got some stats here, but I'll jump into that in a little while once we kind of everybody had a chance to have a chat.
Excellent.
I think for me, it just, Anthony was saying about certain books and reading certain things. A book that impacted me massively, and this is going to sound so basic, but it makes a lot of sense to me. And it wasn't until it's, when something's in your face and you go, oh, of course, but then it's consciously put in, which was, there's a book out there by a guy called Clayson called The Richest Man in Babylon. And what he does is,
Yeah, I've read that.
a beautiful book, right? And the bit that I took out, the bit that I took away from that book was, and I know it sounds so obvious, and the book explains it beautifully, but it's almost like, if I want a brick wall built, I don't go to a jeweler. It's obvious who I go to somebody who's got experience in that field. If I want to buy jewelry, I don't go to that bricklayer. I go to a jeweler. I go to somebody who deals with this. So after reading that book years ago, what it taught me is when I was saying, okay, I want to start this business, or I want to try this thing, I want to head in this direction, the amount of people that would say to me, no, you don't want to do that because there's this problem, that problem, like ambulance chasing. It kind of helped me to sit back and say, you know what? You've got no experience in what I'm looking to do. And when I was naive, I listened to these people, and I didn't go down so many roads because I listened to people that didn't know what it was talking about. After reading that book, I stopped that. I just went, hang on a minute. If you're at the top of your field, if you've been doing this for a long time and you've got that experience, I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
If you haven't, because martial arts, if I want to learn that, there's somebody on this panel that I will go to. I will get in touch with Anthony and say, Anthony, what do I need to do? Where do I start?
Thanks.
There's no point
I'll
in
leave your number in the comment.
There's no point in me going to Michael or Winston about that. I might as well go to the guy that knows what he's doing. If I want to learn about the history of football, I'm not going to go to Mendes because he's only got one channel. I mean, I could get in touch with Ty, but I might as well talk to Michael. But yeah, I'll leave it at
that. I agree with that. I think success breeds success. To be honest, do you know what I mean? I like sport, to be honest, and I like getting into the kind of the mental side of things. Do you know what I mean? And Daley Thompson, I think he's mental. I mean, he was one of my people that I kind of used to look to, particularly around the mental side of things, because when you get to like the sharp end of anything, but particularly in sport, they're all much the same, really. They've all kind of done the necessary training and this, and you probably could, and with your martial arts, you probably could testify to that. But what kind of separates the good and the great is fine margins and things like that. And it's just a simple analogy. What he used to do on Christmas Day, Daley Thompson, he would go out and train every Christmas Day because he thought in his mind all his competitors wouldn't be. So to him, that would be giving himself an edge. But then once he won the Olympics, I think after 4 or 5 years, he kind of heard on the grapevine that other competitors sort of caught onto this, and they were also training Christmas morning. So then again, margins, he introduced another session. So he would train Christmas morning and Christmas afternoon just to give himself that mental and physical edge over his competitors. So for me, if I want to succeed in something, I'm going to look to somebody who has, for want of a better word, receipts and has a proven track record. That's
exactly.
how I kind of that's how I kind of look at things, really. In terms of best practice. Do you know what I mean? Because and I think your mentors can come. You don't have to have. It's not a one size fits all. You can take a bit from here. You can take a bit from there. Do you know what I mean? And you can kind of formulate your own way of doing things, because we all have different strengths and different weaknesses. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Yes. So I think that would be very much wise, really. Surround if you want to excel in something, surround yourself with the right people. I would say that would be my advice.
Yeah, business and actually helping somebody as a mentor. Really, are you really helping them, or are you just trying to get more money?
No,
Fantastic. Perfect, because that's the big difference, because like these people are trying to poach you into spending your money on a specific program to make more money. Give like cryptocurrency, for instance. There's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, but Wim, in terms of checks and balances, this is what I'm saying. So if I'm a young person, sorry to go back to this point, I'm labouring this point again, but if I'm a London person under 12 and I see one of these online training companies, I'm going to sign up.
It's a gamble, isn't it? It's a gamble.
You're referring to the fact that it's an under 12, as you were saying, Mike.
Well, I'm just saying.
Anybody can.
Okay, you can say
it could be anyone, really.
But can I? So let me give my 2 pence here, off of the back of what you were saying, Win, and what you said, Anthony. So for me, I hear the money side of it there, and referring to America. I know America for donkey's years have had this Big Brother program, where kind of young guys that have got maybe no father figure, or there's issues going on in the home, then other people will volunteer their time to go and spend time with these young people, and maybe a few hours a week, where there were no money involved, nothing to do with money. Just that now I'm painting the kind of the theory side of it, of how it's all pretty. I don't know how this works. There are mentor courses that you can do over here. There are, but they're not advertised like in America, because it's not valued.
Absolutely.
It's not valued like it is in America. Now, for me, like I said, I've got 3 gents in front of me now that I could take a bit from Mike, from Anthony, from Win. I could take a bit from all of you and grow where I lack. Nothing to do with finances. So for me, it goes back to what we've spoken about before, which is this for me is about intention. What's the intention behind me either wanting a mentor or wanting to be a mentor? Now, my bit is, I would speak to a young person or somebody of my own age, Mike, because that's not me being sarky, that's me being genuine. My bit would be, if somebody was asking my opinion, I'm happy to say, you know what, I don't know. But together, we can effing find out. Let's do this work together. Let's find out the answers to these questions together. Not to paint a picture. So if I'm talking to a young person, very open to say, I haven't got all the answers. I've got more questions than answers, the same as you. Maybe different questions. But let's grow together. Let's do this together on a journey. So it's not kind of a hierarchy. If there's bits that I know, then of course I'm going to share that information with young people or anyone. And I would hope that everybody would do that to me. Intention is key around this subject for me. That's my 2 pence.
So people that are in the public eye by default, without knowing, automatically by default they become mentors and role models, don't they? Good, bad, or indifferent.
Role models and people that other people look to.
Yeah, but if I choose to follow somebody, I can, without them even knowing, they can be my mentor.
Well, I mean, you said it earlier. We're going back some time, but look at Daley Thompson. You was looking at Daley Thompson as he doesn't know Mike, and yet he's kind of up there for you as somebody that you was looking to.
Yeah. But can I ask a question? What's the definition between the defined line of being a mentor or getting inspiration? Right? So I can be inspired by somebody, right? Really, they inspire me. That doesn't necessarily mean they're my mentor. It just means that what they've done to get to that position, the work effort they put in, the time, the effort, the sacrifices they've made, I'm inspired by them. But it doesn't necessarily mean they're my mentor.
Absolutely.
I'm just inspired by them because you can have somebody who has achieved so much, but on the other side of their life, they're an absolute arsehole. Sorry to use my French, right? Yeah. They can be, you're hearing it all the time. People that have followed these so-called celebrities or so-called mentors or public speakers, and then found out that their private life, they have terrible family backgrounds, they've been involved in embezzlement, there are all these kinds of things, right? But if you put them up on that pedestal, yeah, you can make them a mentor, but I think people are more inspired than being mentored.
So
and I get inspired. I can get inspired from you, Nick.
Yeah.
I get inspired from you, Win. I get inspired from you. But it doesn't mean that you're my mentor. So this is what I'm going to say. There is a fine line as well between
Big difference.
having a mentor and being
I
inspired.
get that.
because off the back of what you just said, Anthony, sorry, Mike, just really quickly, just to wrap something up, sorry. What you said,
Go on, Nick.
Anthony, so the definition of a mentor is an experienced and trusted person. An experienced and trusted. And when you say trusted, again, it doesn't mean perfect. What it means is, like I said, if somebody comes to me and says, can I trust you? Well, you can trust me to be human. You can trust me to make mistakes. You can trust me to do my best. All of that. So it's an experienced and trusted person for me. That's how I see it. Sorry, Mike, to interrupt. Sorry, bud.
No, that kind of cleared something up to a degree, because you know what we were saying on the previous pods about, with particularly with children, by default, parents they become perhaps their first mentors, or by default. But does that mean that they're experienced or trusted?
But you would hope so.
Not, but
That's the thing, you would hope so.
not all the time. Not all
No,
the
that's
time.
what I mean. You would hope so.
Yeah.
But, you know, let's say, I don't know what the stats are, but let's say, 7 out of 10 parents are, pretty decent at what they do.
But there has to be receipts on that, though.
Yeah, but the receipts are the receipts are passed down from your parents, because you learned how to be a parent from your parents. So that's where the receipts come in. So what you learned from your parents comes down to you, and then you pass that down to your children, and that's where the receipts come in. But some parents, unfortunately, they weren't parented very well by their parents, and hence they go pass down the receipts in a quite a negative way, and then that child does not learn how to parent effectively. I'm not saying they can't parent, but they're not parenting effectively. We could all go through. We've all got children, and we can all say, like, we've benefited from our parents' experience, and we've also learned how to be better parents potentially by figuring stuff out, learning about it, speaking with other people about it, being mentored by those that are really good at it. So,
based on that definition, though, based on that definition, are all parents mentors then? Based on that definition, a trusted. What did you say? Trusted and
an experienced and trusted person.
Yes, I would say.
But equally, when you're saying about what we learned from our parents on how to parent, let's be honest here. We also learned what not to do as parents from our parents.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
That we have to take that into account.
Let me just caveat that nobody's perfect. There's no perfect parenting skills. Do they really exist? But
I'm closer than most. Sorry.
Yeah, but then you can say each generation has a different set of different set of standards, right?
Yeah.
So what was accepted in the 50s, in the 90s, is probably looked at. Well, in the 90s, people look at and say, "Really? Why were you so strict?" What was accepted in the 90s, in 2024, we're now looking back and saying, "Wow, you know what? Look what we do today." So I think when you look now, how you need to look at maybe the cultures, the time period we're looking at, the historical events that are going on around now. Because like now we've just had COVID, right? I was speaking to somebody the other day, and he was like a young guy. He was serving me in the shop, and he just said to me, as a young guy, how am I going to tell people younger than me, but there was a period of time I could go out? I couldn't do this. They couldn't do that. There's going to be a period of time where the next generation is going to go, "What are you talking about? What?"
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Right? So what I'm trying to say, but in lockdown, there was a different set of skills that parents needed to have those days. I'm saying those days like it was years ago, right? It wasn't. But there was certain things we had to train our children slightly differently. You can't go out. You have to find some way to keep them occupied. There's certain things that have to conduct themselves differently. Now the kids are out free and whatever, but the next generation are going to go along. Well, why are you like this? Why are you so introvert? Why do you find it difficult to communicate? Because they had this period of time when they were in lockdown. Yeah. So certain events, we have war times that have changed people. You know, different countries have had political wars, religious wars, or whatever. Then those parents are having to treat their children slightly differently because they're under certain conditions. The Western culture might be slightly different because we've never had all this stuff. So kind of mentorship is slightly different because maybe the situations that they're in.
Mm. Yeah. No, 100%. Because
parents that said, look, I have to survive. I have to do what I can.
When you think about it, okay. Look, parenting skills in the 20s are not dissimilar to parenting skills now. The circumstances are different and need to be adapted to, but the actual skills are very much the same. If you go into any household where there's good parenting skills, you need to have love there, first and foremost. You need to have good communication, and so on and so on. So does that actually change? Not necessarily, but circumstances change, and you may need to communicate more, or you may need to be a bit more loving, or you may need to be a bit more patient. But those skills is what a parent should have. Would you agree?
100%.
Okay.
They're the DNA of a parent. That's the foundation.
100%
of a parent.
It's just like a good carpenter in the 1900s. They're not necessarily going to be as good as the carpenters now because of the tools that we have. We've got better tools that makes them faster, but it doesn't necessarily make them more accurate than what they were back in those days, because their skills were more honed in on that, making sure that measurement is done perfectly right, etc., etc. So I don't think the parenting really has changed in its DNA, but circumstances have changed.
See, the circumstances, when I hear you say that, I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to put an addendum in there for me, which is where you said about the love. There needs to be the love there. Of course it does. Now, the morals, the values, the ethics of somebody in the 50s and somebody in the 2020s, they're very different. So now the parenting style, because of my morals, my values, my ethics, is what I raise my son on. Somebody in the 1900s or the 1920s, their morals, values, and ethics would have been different to mine. So they would have raised their son. But you're absolutely right. The love is that's the constant. That's the constant. But those values around that, the ethics around that, my morals, the fact that I'm very quick to say I'm not pointing the finger at another human being for whatever I may see as their shortcomings, and I'm asking them not to do the same to me. So that's one of my kind of moral boundaries. Don't do that. We're not going to judge each other on that. We're both doing the best we can do. Now here's the dilemma. If it's genuinely the best you can do, not a BS version of that, not I'm doing the best I can do, but you know in your heart you're not doing the best you can do. That's the nonsense. So when I'm sitting back and thinking, actually, I dropped the ball there. I didn't do well enough. I didn't do good enough there. I could have done that better. And then it's kicking my own backside to make sure that next time I do better for my son. Simple. That's all I can do. But I go back to what you said last week, which is so, so important, which again, look at the 1900s, look at now. The old African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child.
100%.
Go and tell a child on the street now that's misbehaving. Go and tell them off and see what happens to us.
Oh yeah, you're done.
It's finished.
Yeah.
One of the things I very quietly, and I'll get out, but one of the things I talk to my students when we're doing martial arts is talking about how do you deal with conflicts, right? And I teach quite a lot of stuff, which is, let's put it this way, not nice, right? But I said, if I'm anywhere and somebody spills a drink on me, I'm literally going to say, don't worry about it, it's yours. I've got nothing to prove. I'll walk away from any conflict, right? But if I know the person that's doing it and I know that parent, and I say, mate, seriously, I know your dad, you know. Why are you being like this with me? You know what I can do to you? If I go and tell your dad, you've got kids that are saying, and? What's he going to do?
Mm-hmm.
This is the problem. When we were younger, we were like, oh crap. Because they know your dad and you knew what was going to happen when you got home, right? If you had that kind of parent anyway. But I'm just saying, I'm not saying every parent was like that, but if you had that sort of discipline, which I'm talking about real discipline, not the abusive discipline. If you had that real fear of your parent, I'm talking about a reverential fear, a kind
Healthy
of fear of a healthy fear. You were like, oh crap. Where now it's like, can't tell my dad. What's my dad gonna do?
I'm still waiting for mine to come home.
Well, there you go. I was waiting for this comment. All right.
Yeah. Guys,
I've got to be careful. There's so many variables to this. Like, what dad? I didn't have that. I had 3 dads. Well, what mum? Which one? Oh, that one. Yeah, I know that you've got that, but I'm talking about.
Yeah, I
there
know.
was a period of time you
course.
should have had. If the parents knew another parent and that child was now scolded by somebody who knew that parent, and that parent went back to your parent, you almost didn't want to go home.
Finished.
You're like, but like today, it's not the case.
No, it's not.
No.
Yeah.
But Ben,
I think in some circumstances it's not the case. I think no, it's true because like a lot of young people are. We kind of focus on like the negative element of young people. To be fair, there's a lot of young people that are quite responsive and responsible, it just depends on what kind of community you were growing up in. I mean, I'm come from South London, and it's a very tough area, and there's a lot of tough things going on. So. Yeah, generally, the youngsters that I'll come across have definitely got a very rebellious streak, so to speak. But when you dig a little bit deeper, generally, 7 out of 10 are pretty calm, and 10 out of 10 of them will be putting on the front. 10 out of 10 will be putting on the front. Trust me. But 7 out of 10 of them are pretty calm. They're not really into that kind of way of being. And maybe the small 3% of that, will really be up for it and really kind of be a bit nasty. But going back to the parenting thing, I remember there was a time I was in Wimbledon. I was in the Tesco's, and I was just paying for some petrol, and there was a mum. She was walking her daughter around the shop, and the child was like, "Can I have that, mum? Can I have that? Can I have this? Can I have that?" And she was like, "You know what I'm gonna do? If you help me with the shopping today, I'll come back and I'll get you one of those items. So you help me with doing the shopping, and when we come back and at the end, I'll get you one of the things that you want." And I thought, I looked at it and I thought to myself, that's an excellent way of communicating a point of view without having to be in any way negative, and you're going to get your result. So that shows to me that parent is smart about what they're doing. They thought about this situation and the potential of that my daughter or my son was going to nag me today to try and get something off of me. But this is the strategy that I'm going to use with you to get what you want and what I want. And I thought that was really
they've done
excellent.
as well? Great parenting skills, because they're teaching the child, if you want something in life, you've got to do something first to get it, right?
Absolutely.
And if you do something honourable first, you will get your reward.
Bang on. So I mean, that's what we're talking about, mentoring, right? That is good mentoring as far as I'm concerned, and that can be learned as well. So if you're not clued up with how to, parent a child, you can learn how to do that. And maybe there needs to be more kind of programs to teach people how to deal with children in these kind of circumstances. Maybe. I don't know.
Gents, I'm aware that...
I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil the whole thing because I'm a guest.
I'm
a guest. I'm going to spoil it. Right?
What are you going to spoil?
Do you think it's right, though, as a parent, bringing your child up, supporting Arsenal?
I'll leave that to you guys. I mean, I've got my own view. Personally, I think it's mandatory. I think it's character forming. Brings the child in touch with history, what's gone on beforehand, and prepares them for greatness.
It teaches them disappointment. Definitely.
Sorry.
It definitely teaches them that. Yeah.
Okay.
Potential.
I don't
There's
know
a
where
lot
we
of
go
potential
from
there, but it's.
I don't know where we go from there. But thanks for the question, that curveball.
No, but I'm aware, Michael. So I'm aware that you've got things that you've got to do today.
Yes,
So.
but before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank Anthony again for the disruptor comes in. you know, it's like the burglar. He comes in, moves everything around, puts a quiche in the oven and goes off.
Quiche in the oven.
But
before we do that,
right,
Anthony,
okay, so obviously I'm building up my channel at the moment, right, and you are going to be coming on my show, and hopefully the continuation of this will come in different ways. I'm really looking forward to that. What I am worried about is Michael coming on, because
yeah, I don't blame you.
I'm not sure how we are going to be able to do this, because it will probably go viral, because it will be like the biggest argument on YouTube.
hopefully.
I'm just putting it out there.
No, me too. I could see it happening.
It just goes to show what age I am, because when you said go viral, I'm thinking I've got a cream for you for that. Sorry, that's my age.
Yeah, there is that. But Anthony, can I ask a question before we do? Because we covered this last week with us guys. Anthony, growing up, did you have a mentor when you was younger?
No.
Oh, really? Okay.
I literally, my life story is not a nice one, right? We've all had our own stories. My mentor was, how do I say in a nice way? We all grew up with slightly different experiences. I had a lot of prejudice when I was younger, right? I worked in a company for prejudice. I had a lot of things which were thrown at me, which, if I explain this to certain people today, they go, "What? I don't believe you." And I said, "That's a fact." But I was always had this thing in me, what was called inspiration. So I was inspired by sports people, like you said, the Daley Thompsons and whatever. When you said these names, stuff like that. And what inspired me is like, I want you to say these things. I want you to put, you know why? Because I'm going to show you. And 9 times out of 10, I could go back to those people 10 years later and said, "Oh, you never thought of doing that. So why am I now the head project manager at Tower Bridge? Why am I this? Why am I working at PwC? Why am I doing that? You said I couldn't amount for anything, but I'm working for these companies. I'm now, what do you call it? Project managers. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. But I couldn't do it. But it was almost like, thank you. It's almost like, thank you for that. Because if I didn't have that, I may not have been where I am today. So I always look at anything negative, I look at it and almost say, thank you, because it means that I'm going to go into a different direction. And it now pushes me. That's why when I'm listening to you guys, you inspire me, right? Because in your own different way, the way that I communicate with you, the way that you talk with me, and the things that we talk about, it makes me realize I'm not alone.
Fantastic.
And it makes me realize, wow, we've had such certain similarities and certain things. It almost makes me feel like, oh gosh, this journey I went through, see, I wasn't by myself. And we've all inspired to do something. So I know Michael's crying, but don't worry about it. But what I'm saying is,
no, it's
right, this is what I'm talking about, inspiration and mentorship. This is inspiring me to do what I'm going to be doing on my channel. It inspires me so much.
Okay, guys, thank you all again. Truly inspirational stuff and a lot of good ideas and a lot of discourse between the four of us. So without further ado, if we're all happy, that's a wrap.
Peace and love, beautiful
it's
people.
A wrap.
Take care, peace, and all that.
Take care. Thank you.